Hey guys, welcome back to RC Legends, and once again, as always, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So this is part 2 of my rather spectacular Kyosho ZX-5 laser build. So if this is the first time you stumble across this was this was a ready-to-run car that I've had for a while, and Keith over at RC Icons sorted me out with all the 3Racing parts. There's tons of alloy, obviously carbon. And in this video we'll get this car finished. Not finished, but we'll get the chassis finished. And again, I'll just say this up front because I normally forget. I'm building this with a view to run it in the summer. I'm not going to say it's going to be my runner because there's a lot of quite rare bits on this now. But as I go, all the electrics are getting in it, and it'll be just sat there waiting for spring to come. I'm not going to run it in winter. And yeah, this thing is off the chart. So if you've not seen this before, I suggest you jump onto part 1. It was like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago or whatever, and it'll bring you up to this stage and from what the car started like, if you're interested. And if you're not, just keep on watching this, because at the end of this video, this is going to be finished, and it's going to be... What's it going to be? What is it going to be? I don't know. Let me think of a word. I'll tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be a belter. I just spat a little bit out of my mouth. Hope you didn't see that on camera. Anyway, let's get cracking. Okay, so moving on swiftly. Basically, the back end's finished on this, apart from the shocks. But what I want to do now is the front end. Obviously, we've got the added thing of the steering at the front end, which we've got an alloy steering upgrade to fit to this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just start taking this box apart and seeing if I can get the... Anyway, let's just go. Right, a little bit of messing around at this stage because of the steering that's got to go on, and it kind of clamps around this section here. So obviously, I've clamped the front lower gearbox down to the chassis, and the front rear suspension, alloy suspension mount is in position, and then this bit. So obviously we've added the prop shaft to it now. Oh. Jumping a little bit, is that because... Is that prop shaft bent? Don't know if it is or if it isn't. I don't think it is. I think it's just a movement, and maybe when the top deck goes on. Anyway, so yeah, now I'm going to sort of stop the drive train and look at the steering. So obviously the upgraded steering, but I would imagine I'm going to need bits off the car of the original steering. So I'll show you that. So I've got most of it apart, and this just kind of lifts off like that. So I'm definitely going to need those and those. Right, I think I'll come back when the steering's done, because this looks a little bit more sort of complicated and I don't want to get it wrong. Right, steering's in position and built correctly now. It's kind of completely different-ish from the kit one. The kit one goes under and over this, whereas obviously this one doesn't. Now, two things I had to do. First of all, the ball ends on the car itself, I've had to swap out for these ones which has got shorter threads, because the kit ones, the threads were poking quite a bit through and it looked horrendous. So I've swapped those out. And also, the steering doesn't come with bearings, and the ready-to-run kit doesn't have bearings in the steering, but luckily it's the same size bearings as Tamiya, which I've got a ton of. So there's a pair of bearings on each stanchion, and again, it's not fastened down, but yeah, you get the gist of it, and yeah, that's as smooth as you like. So I guess that can... Oh, hang on. Let's feed that in there, and in the other end, put that in position, because that steering's effectively done, and I don't want to forget the old prop shaft. Yeah, that's awesome. So now we're back on track, and the next stage is to do what we did on the rear, and that's to take this apart. And the front's very slack and very grainy. So if there is any grease left, I'll take it off, and we'll re-grease with Tamiya ball diff grease, which I've done on the rear, and it feels amazing. So I'll get that done now. Right, that's the diff rebuilt, and that was completely rebuilt because the screw, the long bolt that goes all the way through, I could tell there was something not right with it, and that's I should have shown you it, but it's too fiddly. It's the one with the very tiny balls. What do you call them? Diff balls. So obviously the spur gear has the bigger ones, but inside there's a bolt, and then a washer goes on, and then you got a what do you call it? Put the grease on it, the diff grease, and then put all the balls in position, and then feed it through. It's very fiddly. Took me quite a few attempts to get it. Anyway, that's done. Dish rebuilt. I've again, just as I did with rear, tightened it up and then slackened it off a quarter of a turn. Yeah, it's difficult to say if it's matching the back, but it's because I haven't got the arms on, but it feels pretty good. And we've also greased the front end up, which is awesome. Yeah, this car's going to be so cool when I'm running it. I thought it was cool before in the Ready to Run version, but knowing now that the diff wasn't quite right. And it's funny, there was clicking in the running video I did, and I wonder if that was coming from that, is it called, I think it's called like a thrust bearing or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's start to rebuild this up now. Right, latest progress. So, obviously the diff top cover is on. I've got rid of that plastic square bracket that they have, and now we've got these alloy bits on either side, and then we've got the alloy brace over, and obviously I've put the steering stanchions in, and that's fastened down on the outer. Obviously there's two screws that'll secure that when I go off with for the top deck, but yeah, feels really good, nice and smooth. Looks like there's a lot of movement as well, which is awesome. So I don't have front hubs, and I'm not really taking these apart, so I'm just going to give them a once over, give them a bit of a clean, and then we'll put the front arms on and the last front alloy suspension mount. Right, let's get cracking. Right, front arms on, all the turnbuckles are on, everything connected, everything tightened down. So nice and free, suspension movement, steering, oh, not that way, isn't it? Plenty of steering either way. It's definitely lost some of its smoothness when I clamped this down, so I might need to revisit this. Maybe the spring on the servo saver, either tighten it or slacken it, I don't know, but that's something I'll play with. Don't get me wrong, it's not tight, and it's smooth. Yeah, I don't know, we might have to tweak it as we go, but right now, yeah, I'm loving that. Interesting thing, when I put the both front suspension alloy suspension mounts, as you can see the kick up it's got, how the bottom one onto the chassis is really low, and then it kicks up to that top one up there. I never noticed that on the other chassis. I guess it's a little bit sort of hidden away. So next up, we've got the front bumper to put on. I'm just looking around. We're actually at the sharp end now. We don't need. Got a pile of plastics. So we'll get the bumper on, and then that shock tower, front shock tower. So I'll just quickly show you a little front bumper that it comes off the standard car. Luckily the both front and back bumpers are like new. I don't think I've showed you the underneath, have I? Beautiful. Look at that. So there is a mixture of posi head screws and oh my god, Allen key screws, whatever you call them. So the screws that come with the upgrades, like the mounts, are hexes. 2 pairs, but you've got front pairs hidden underneath there. But yes, very cool. So yes, now front shock tower to set the hardware off this and get it fitted onto the car. Right, flying along nicely now. So that's the front carbon tower on, hardware changed over. So up next is the carbon top deck. Everything's 3Racing, I think I've said that earlier. And it comes with some spacers and screws and some instructions, so it might be slightly different from what the car started out at. Anyway, let's get that on. Well, it's looking very yummy. Now, we do have an issue, and I kind of thought this would come back to bite me. It's the steering. So I've not really nipped the top deck down yet. It's sort of finger tight, but as I was sort of just playing because I was curious about his steering, it's gone too tight now, and I've not even tightened these up. So as I thought previously, I've done something wrong here, or the alloy's not great, but I've got the plastic one back out, so I'm going to take the top deck off and then I'll take that brace off and just sit this one on, see if it makes a difference, see if it's still doing it with this, because if it's still doing it with this, then I know that there's something not quite right with the servo saver spring, whether I've got it too tight, too slack or what. But visually it's quite difficult to kind of work out. Anyway, let me figure this out. Right, after half an hour of messing around, I've cured it. So I don't think I had the servo saver obviously on the this side of the steering arm. It's got a quite heavy duty spring for the servo saver to flex, and I don't think I had it down tight enough, and there wasn't enough collar for this brace to sit onto. It was squashing it down. So I've fixed that, put it back on, tried the plastic one, it was exactly the same. So it's much better now. But what I have had to do, this particular screw, I've tightened it down and I've just backed it off 1/4 of a turn, but I've put red thread lock on it as well. Because if I tighten that an extra 1/4 of a turn, it just makes the steering just a tad too tight. So again, 1/4 of a turn, backed off, thread locked, and now we have that, which is absolutely perfect. So the top deck came with its own screws, so you got those 4 at the back, and then at the front again 4, but if you see the 2 different size spacers, front and back, that's what it comes with. So that is awesome, really, really cool. Now, that is the battery strap that comes with the car, and you know, obviously that's going to go there, and that's going to look a dog. So I was just thinking, oh, I'll get onto Nick Walker, I'll measure it and get him to make me a carbon one, and then I remembered about 3 years ago I bought this carbon battery strap for, I believe it was a TT01, never used it. It's very slightly shorter, and we've also got to fit these next, which is the aluminium battery post. So I'm going to fit those and we'll see how far out this is, but it's got to have this on. I've got to make this fit because then it's full carbon. Right, it's on, but it's a bodge, but I'm going to have to revisit. So the alloy battery posts are in. They're pretty cool. They've got like a spacer. They come apart and you can, for different size batteries, which is really cool. So using the standard holes, which is that one and where are we? That one. As you can see, I put a screw in there in that slot, which is not ideal, but now it's not stretching. Now lengthwise doesn't make a difference to me because I use shorty packs anyway, but I still want it to clamp down with this strap. There is other options to fix the battery in, but I want a carbon strap. So for now I'm just going to leave it like that, which is not ideal. Possibly I could try countersinking, but I just think because it's a slot, the drill bit's gonna go all over. Maybe I'll do it with a Dremel. That's what I'll do. I'll get the Dremel out. I'm not gonna do that now though. Yeah, and I'm gonna countersink that, and then I'll put the countersink screw back in. Boom! I forgot I had a Dremel. Yeah, that is awesome. That's pretty much the chassis built, bar the shocks. Oh, I'll tell a lie. So I'll tell you what we have got to add. We've got the alloy. Now these didn't come with the kit. I put these on when I ran it. So we've got the alloy hexes to put on. We've also got the servo mounts to put on, and that'll be pretty much it. So I'll bang them on, and then we'll get onto the shocks. Right. So that is the car finished apart from shocks. So I've put a small body pin in this side and a big piece of Tamiya, just a big one so I can grip it, so it's a little bit sort of quicker release, so I don't have to take both out. So happy with that. Whether that will interfere with the body, I might have to swap that out for a smaller one at a later date when I do the body and the servo mounts are in. What a thing, my friends, what a thing. It's a beast. Oh, and the hexes are on, the alloy hexes. Yeah, that has been one hell of a, I don't know if you call it a build, I suppose it is a build, but yeah, that's been fun putting that together, and that finished product is just a little bit special. Just so nice. Really, really nice. Right, shocks. Velvet Kyosho shocks. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to take them apart, drain the oil and refill them, clean them, all that good stuff. Right, that's the shocks basically rebuilt. Yeah, one had an issue on the small ones and it was leaking, but I fixed that. I've gone with medium Tamiya oil. I don't have like racing oils, I've just got a ton of Tamiya, different ones. I just went with medium. It does say, I don't know the weight of it, but it does say here green is 500. So maybe it's 500 weight, I've no idea. But they feel way much better than they were. They feel really nice. One could almost say they feel like velvet. They're called velvet shocks, in case you didn't know. Oh, you just think I'm a div. Yeah, it's just like spring. You just turn the yeah, that's better. Yeah, they're cool. Right, let's get them on the car. Yes, this was well worthwhile. These shocks just feel silky. They're really, really nice. I will have to go back and revisit it in a couple of hours, see if there's any leaks. But so far so good, as they say. Oh, wow. Wowza. Yummy. Right, what's next? Now I need to dig those Skycraft wheels out and make sure they're going to fit this car. So yeah, big shout out to Skycraft for donating these wheels to me, and a big thank you to Dennis as well, I should say first. So they're just pink wheels with hexes front and back. They were originally for my TRF 201XM, but I had to put a different front arms on to make those fit. So I kind of put them on the back burner, but I have a plan to get them on here, so I'll open them up and see if they'll fit. Right, so good news is wheels fit. Fronts are fine, no rubbing at all. Rears are fine, no rubbing, but I need to, and I've got them, so I'll have to dig out the low profile nuts. The standard Kyosho Tamiya nut with the nylon right at the end, it's not gripping. There's enough thread there for the nut, but it has to be a low profile one. So anyway, I can get by with that, it's cool. I just threw some Tamiya Top Force tyres on, and I did the fronts first, and I thought, oh, they look good. But the wheels are too wide for the tyres, which is fine. So yeah, I'll take these tyres back off. At least I know the wheels fit, and I will order some new tyres at some point. But I've got to figure out what I'm doing. If it's like maybe 2 sets carpet, and then for just like messing about on road. Anyway, I'll take them off, and then we'll put the original ones back on. And that is, it's not finished, but it kind of is for now. I've got to do some fettling on it, but yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon with that. That was incredible to put together. Now, if I hold the back end, so underneath you can hold the spare with your thumb down here because the under tray is not on. So it's like the first opportunity to kind of feel the diffs with the wheels on. The rear is just compared to how that was. That is just, it's like a completely different car. And then the fronts, again, super smooth. The front is a little bit tighter than the rear, but I believe that's the right thing to do. Put that in the comments if it's not. I'm pretty sure that's right. And don't get me wrong, it's not tight, but and then obviously your overall drive is lovely. So some interesting things, because obviously I won't be running it with these wheels and tyres on. I thought I was just gonna, I just dug the old ready to run body shell out. I was like, oh, let's stick it on, see what it looks like. Now this bit feeds through the shock tower, but let me see, that's the front. So that's the ready to run front shock tower, and you see this massive gap here that allows that body to go through. The carbon one is obviously narrower. Now that's not a problem, that just means you've got to cut on, not this body, on the new one. I've got to cut it because it won't fit through. So yeah, I've just got to be mindful of cutting in the right place, and like things like this, where, let's put the camera, sorry. I've just got to be mindful I might not need all this for the steering. I could probably cut less away. And the other thing is the wing with the carbon shock tower. That wing is sat, no, you can't really tell, but that wing is sat really high. Looks great, but I noticed when I was fitting the rear shock tower that there was actually 3. So the wing mounts are on with 2 2 screws, but there was a hole below it, so there's 3 holes. So we've got an adjustable wing mount positioning. That's awesome. When I was putting it together, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to need that, but I'm not going to adjust it now. But it would be sat. It's just difficult because obviously this body's not really designed for, but that's kind of roughly where the body will sit. And for me, that wing is just a tad high, so dropping that down, what will it be, 6mm or something? That's really going to look badass with a new body. It's going to look incredible. Other things I've got to do, not so much on the front. The bolts are just slightly long because obviously it's carbon now and the plastic towers were a lot thicker, so that's protruding through, but I can live with that one. But the rears, that's just too long, so I need to dig out some shorter bolts. I really want to find the stabilizer kit for this. Obviously you can see on the ally it's got the position for it, and ball joints are on the arms, and that's front and rear. What my chances are of finding that set, I have no idea, but it would be nice. Absolutely incredible. The suspension is so, you can probably hear the rubber squashing because there's no foam inserts on the original wheels and tyres, but I can't tell you how smooth it all is. Really, really nice. Now it definitely feels harder than it did, but the oil in it was, in the oil shocks, it was past it, and some of them were on a half full anyway. I don't know if going from medium to soft oil would make a hell of a difference. Not that it needs it, because there's no electrics in, there's no battery, so and there's no tension on the shock collars. But it's just, it's so smooth. It really does feel nice. And the steering, some crazy angles of steering, which we like. It's super smooth. Yeah, I'm over the moon with today's work. I've been really looking forward to getting this car started more than anything, but to actually have the car finished now is, yeah, it's a little bit special, to be honest. Such a good looking thing, and when I get the original body and wing and under tray fitted, and then with a colour scheme of my choice, which I don't know what that is yet, and I've got original ZX-5 decals for it, it really is a good looking car, isn't it? I really like it. I really, really, really like it. So I don't know what's next, to be honest. As I say, that's kind of as far as I can go. I am going to have to lower it at some point as well, I think. I want to sort of have the arm straight to the chassis as it's sort of sat. Not a great deal, to be honest, but there's a lot of sag in the rears where the springs, because I've not moved the collars down. If I moved the collars down and take that up, it'd make the car sit a little bit, it would be stiffer. So it's got a little bit, it kind of sags, as you can see, and then if you listen, that's the springs locating into the bottom collars. So at some point I definitely want to look at that. I reckon, you see, my plan is for this, at some point next year, I want to put this on a carpet track, Schumacher, whatever, carpet tyres, and you know, they do run really low, so I kind of feel the car would be round about there, maybe. I don't know. It's going to look so badass when this car's done. I honestly can't tell you how good this is going to look. So yeah, when I was just checking the chassis over, making sure I got everything off of it, I realised there was 4 screws still in, and I thought there were actually moulds on here that it's like for your battery to sit in, 4 little like legs. So I took them out, and I fitted all 4. Now you can see the inside ones, they're just stoppers for the battery, and there were some outside ones as well, but they're too wide. So I've put those in position, and as I said earlier, I'll be running a shorty, but it's ideal because that now stops the battery. Obviously it'll be clamped down better than this, but it stops the battery hitting the prop shaft, which is awesome, because that's kind of roughly the position it can go in, although I can alter the positions of it. So that's really cool. And the outside one doesn't really need it because it's going to have the under tray and what have you. I could put a little bit of foam or whatever, but once I put a little bit of foam underneath the strap, that's going to be down hard. Although I'm just looking at that for the terminals. Oh, there we go, terminals. both out, sorry, I don't know if you can see that. When I had it that way, it's covering one of the terminals up, but if I turn the short tape that way, the positive and negative are fine. And I could also just reverse the battery strap. Oh my god, this has been so cool. I honestly can't wait to get electrics fitted in it. Right, I got them on eventually. So after that last segment, I just stopped. So this is 24 hours after. And after I made that last chunk of video, I was really obsessed in digging through my drawers of rubbish that I've got lying around, trying to find tyres, actually. Anyway, I found these dual blocks with foams, which I forgot I had. They're slightly used. So they're perfect, because obviously dual blocks are the correct size for these wheels. And I've dug out the rear low profile lock nuts for the rears. So I'm really happy with it. I do no rush, but I do need to glue them before I run it. But yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that a lot. Makes the ride height a lot higher with these 2.2s or whatever they're called size wise. It is way higher. But yeah, we'll at some point we'll lower it. I think the oil's too hard. That's medium. I think I might go soft, but I might wait till the electrics are in. No rush. So I'm absolutely made up how that looks. That's just, yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, made up with this. Honestly, I'm made up with it. And it's funny because I've had 24 hours to sort of look at it before doing this bit. And the whole point of that was to get these pink wheels on. But I've checked the shocks now, 24 hours on. I've been using them, not running it, but obviously moving it up and down a lot and stuff. They're not leaking. I was worried about one of them. They're all perfect. I do think, again, I might change the oil, because I'm going to lower it, so I'm going to have to put some internal spacers in at some point. So you've got to drain the oil to do that. So I probably will put some internal spacers in and go maybe soft oil. Yeah, just so cool. But when I was looking at it, and this is not like me, I don't usually think like this, but I was like, have I improved it? And that's, I suppose that's down to opinions, isn't it? I don't think there's a firm sort of yes and no. For me, the full carbon, that's an improvement. Don't think there was anything wrong with the ready to run ZX-5 plastics. I've never heard bad words about them. Really substantial, strong plastic. But yes, carbon looks better, but carbon stronger as well. So I would say that all the carbon is definitely an upgrade. The two pairs, front pair and rear pair of the alloy suspension mounts, massive upgrade from plastic. So that's a real one. But after that, I kind of just think nice to haves, really. I mean, the rear hubs, alloy rear hubs, I don't know. Is that an upgrade? The silver things that the turnbuckles clamp onto, I don't really think that's an upgrade, personally. Unless the plastics were known for pulling the ball ends out of the plastic, I don't know. That wouldn't happen with alloy. And then the alloy braces front and back. Yeah, I don't personally think we're an upgrade, but I could be wrong. And the steering is definitely an upgrade for me, because this system is a little bit less complicated. As I say, the plastic one has two arms and the prop shaft goes through the middle of it, where this is just prop shaft goes over it. So that steering will be definitely stronger. Plus it's now ball rest bearings in it, so that makes it really a big upgrade. Yeah, it was just interesting. Oh, one other thing. Don't know if I've covered this already, but yeah, I was just put my finger on the spur gear. Oh, diffs are so nice compared to how they were. Really, really good. That front is tighter than the rear, but yeah, love it. Yes, it's awesome. Keith, thank you so much, my friend, for putting all this package together, and again going above and beyond, sorting that missing front shock tower, was it, or maybe rear? I can't remember. Yeah, it's just awesome. So yeah, that's done. So next up for this, when I revisit it, which is going to be a little while, we'll get the full body set cut out, mounted. So we've got main body, wing, and under tray. And I'm also thinking, because that, if I cut the body out how it should be, it's not going to fit through this tower. So what I'll probably do is, when I'm mounted the body and cut out, I'll take the shock tower off, I'll mount the body correctly, and then I think where the body goes, excuse me, goes through a shock tower, I'll just draw a line and I'll cut it, and then with Velcro I'll put that front nose on there, so it's constantly there, and I don't have to worry about. I don't want to cut the front of the body too narrow, just so I can feed it through there. It's pointless. Where I can just cut it, you won't see it, and it'll just be constantly at the front, and then the main body will just lift off and on with Velcro. That's what I'm thinking anyway. But then obviously we're in winter, so I've got to paint it, and I've also got to make my mind up if I'm painting it or if I'm getting it professionally painted. That is an option to do as well. I've seen a few. Well, there's one particular that used to race at Batley Outdoor in West Yorkshire. Just a stunning looking thing. It's like a really bright red, almost not quite luminous, but a really vibrant red and white, and it just looks off the chart. So, but whether that'd go with pink wheels, I don't know. It's something to ponder over at some point. But yeah, that'll be that. Do you know what? Actually, with it being winter, the next video will probably be electrics. As I say, I'm probably going to put in either the 10-turn brushless or the 9.5 brushless that Duncan sent me combo. Yeah, that'll probably be next, and we'll just get it set up. Anyway, I'm just waffling on, aren't I? Yeah, that's it. I'm going to look at this for a little bit longer now. So, my friends, thanks so much for watching. As always, massively appreciated. And that's it. Happy arseing.